There's a version of studying abroad that you see on Instagram, and then there's the real version. In this episode of Flywire Presents Make It Make Sense Fees, Finances, and Foreign Lands, we will uncover and unpack the emotional cost of studying abroad for students and parents. And for that, we have mental health expert and therapist Ekta Bhanushali. And for all your worries and anxieties about sending money to universities, guess what? You don't need that anxiety because you have Flywire, which makes sure that your international fee payments are secure and transparent. We are in Bombay right now, where it is almost impossible to get an appointment with any therapist. Well, I found a hack. I have scammed Ekta Bhanushali into coming here. You have a long wait list, yeah?
Yeah.
It's trying to get an appointment, could not get through. But
Glad-
welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you
here.
so much.
And you know what? I wish there was a. Is there a time machine that you know of? Because my parents were so anxious when I was studying from the years of 2014 to 2018 that I really think that they could have used some help. It's too late now. Because, like, I thought from their perspective, from my perspective, what's happening? I'm going from Nagpur to New York. My life has changed. I'm mind blown. It's an addition to my life. In their life, it's they're losing out
Yeah.
on something. What would you tell parents that are a little anxious about their kids' ambitions? The kids are on their way out. What should a parent know?
I guess the first thing is whatever parents go through emotionally, mentally, financially, all of that, they're looking at this as there's an objective to it.
Correct.
It's like, okay, there's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's how they're trying to soothe themselves.
Right.
And what happens from parents' perspective, from child's perspective, everyone is trying to mask that bravado,
Right.
that false bravado.
Correct.
That, you know what, it's fine. We have a bigger picture no matter what we're experiencing.
Correct.
I think the only thing that I'd like to say is speak up what you're
Hmm.
experiencing. Like,
Mhm.
speak your true feelings.
Mhm.
Share what you're experiencing.
Right.
Because it's not easy.
Right.
But at the same time, I think when we have that conversation, it becomes easier.
Correct.
So I guess having that conversation is very, very important.
Correct. I'll tell you from my personal experience, the reason that I feel a parent cannot show any doubt or weakness when sending their kid out is because there's a host of other people, from neighbors to other relatives, who are like, don't send your kid here. Don't do that. This is a safer, this is a cheaper option, and there are other alternatives that are given. So I think it's almost like they want this false facade of bravado that you said. It is kept to protect them from these questions that are coming. So how does one fortify themselves from the doubt that is imposed on them by people around them?
I guess we humans are, first of all, let's admit how we're designed and how we're wired.
Right.
We're wired for social conformity.
Correct.
We want to conform with people and
I agree.
society.
You liked it when I said I agree. That's
Yeah.
that's what you mean. Yeah.
And it's like, I want to make sure that every single person in my life, whether a close relative or a neighbor or some random stranger who bumped into me and asked me, okay, how's your child doing?
Right.
Or you have a random conversation with that person about this whole situation. You want to make sure that you get that validation from somebody that you're doing right.
Correct.
And then everyone will have their own say
Right.
in it.
Right.
And it is important for you as a parent to
Mhm.
know what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
and something that is right for your child.
Right.
I don't have to listen to every single person because, okay, think about this neighbor of yours who thinks that, no, engineering is better than something else.
Right.
How about you try London and not America?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're in this whole paradox of choice.
Correct.
And you're in a soup because
Yeah.
now you don't know what to do.
Also, you are putting everything you have. Like most families, they are just using all the money that they have. So it's like there's no margin for error in this decision. And this complicates it further.
100%. So our culture is also designed in a way
Right.
to make sure that every single person is happy in this decision, even if it means your random relative
Yeah.
needs to say or give you that validation, oh, you did a good job.
Right.
Know what your child wants. And that, I think, is and should be the primary objective.
Ah.
That if my child wants this, or
Right.
maybe this university or this country, I guess we just need to find a way out.
Correct.
And that's how you can create those walls, or maybe close your ears
Uh-huh.
and don't allow other, because everything else is just noise.
Right. Correct.
You
True.
don't let
True.
these extra chaos or this noise to
Yeah.
kind of take
Yeah.
over you.
Right.
And I think a lot has to do with your conviction.
Right.
If you have that strong conviction about what your child wants,
Correct.
what you want,
Correct.
you're good.
But I mean, that seems like a difficult thing to achieve, because for that you need to basically redefine the relationship between a kid and parents, right? Because usually are parents listening to their kids as much as they should? Like, is that happening? Probably not.
Now, it's safe to say that the relation between parent and child is getting better.
Okay.
But we still need to create, as parents, we need to create that safe space to listen to a child.
Right.
Let's accept the fact that every single parent will have a different opinion.
Correct.
That's what we call generation gap.
Right.
What is that? It's like I will always have a different opinion.
Yes.
And based on what I've learned,
Correct.
what I've experienced, what I've seen as a child,
Right.
that has built my belief system.
Correct.
That this is going to work, this is not going to work.
Right.
But now the child is creating his or her own identity.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
need to listen to our child and create that open mind. I think what really matters here is have a mind that can be changed.
Oh my God. You're asking for a lot. If that's what you're asking from Indian parents, a mind that can be changed. If I'm a kid and I have to convince my parents about this, how do I start? If for students who are listening, who are going through the same problem, how do they initiate this conversation with their parents? Because, see, eventually the goals are aligned. Everyone has the best interest of the kid at heart, but there are just like different ways, different approaches.
I believe it begins with first having an open mind.
Right.
Not in terms of open mind that can be changed, but
In
just an
general.
open mind.
Okay.
Okay, let me listen to my child
Right.
and let me listen to my parent.
Right.
Let me have that conversation. You don't have to draw a conclusion.
But hear them out.
Just hear them out,
Right.
what their perspective is. A lot of times what happens, let's say if the parent is at point A, child is at point B.
Right.
Like both of them are thinking the child will come to me, or
Yeah.
the parent thinks that, or the child thinks that my
Correct.
parents is they're going to
Of
come
course. Yeah.
to this point.
Yeah.
But what you need to really figure out is it's not about where you stand. It's about finding a middle ground
Right.
that works for both.
Correct.
I think that's the formula where you have to figure out, okay, what is a win-win situation for you, win-win situation for me,
Right.
right? An open conversation that, okay, fine, what exactly do you want? What exactly do I want?
Uh-huh.
And how about, like, we don't have to really stretch ourselves so thin
Right.
that in the end we feel, oh, my child did not listen to me. Now I'm growing this resentment
Correct.
inside of me.
Correct. Which
And
I'm
because-
sure is common.
Yeah,
right?
and because I'm a parent, it's my duty to take care of my child. I have to do my
Right.
duty.
Right.
And then what happens is this growing resentment. So you don't do things with all your heart and soul,
Correct.
but rather have that open mind that my child will bring a very different perspective.
Right.
In the end,
Right.
if I have lived, let's say 30, 40, 50 years of my life,
Yeah.
now it's my child's life and he has to operate from a different lens.
Correct.
Because till now he's got a different exposure than what I got,
Of course.
a different education system,
Right.
different goals and dreams
Right.
than what I had.
Correct.
Because now I think those conventional forms of education has changed.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's where I guess parents play the biggest role.
Right.
Having an open mind.
Hmm.
If you're thinking about, acha, like according to me, or in my opinion, I feel this is what the right thing is, you ask yourself, in my opinion, what my child thinks is right for them.
Right. There are so many, even when a student goes out, there are lots of difficulties they are dealing with. They're far away from home, there's a lot of uncertainty. Probably there's a loan, there's a lot of money being paid, that causes more stress. So, what can a parent do to make sure that the kid is not as stressed or as anxious? Like, are there any steps or directives that a parent can take to ensure that?
Let's accept that everyone is going to be stressed,
Right.
right? I think it's very normal for us to feel that.
Okay.
But now what's happening, because we've created this narrative
Right.
that the parent feels that I have to make sure that I'm not being very emotional.
Right.
I'm not showcasing my emotions.
Yeah.
Or I'm not feeling the stress and anxiety,
Right.
whether it comes with the finances that I have to arrange, or whether that my child is going to leave
Yeah.
and then I have no one to
Right.
rely on. We all have to accept that this is something different. This is
Right.
unknown.
Right.
Because what happens a lot of times, especially in our Indian culture, Indian
Uh-huh,
household, where parent only thinks about the logistics part,
Correct.
where I have to make sure the food is
Yeah.
prepared and
Yeah.
ready in
Right,
time,
right,
packing is done,
right,
finances are done,
right.
everything is, it's the right university, they've got the money, everything is
Right.
sorted. But nobody talks about, okay, what are you feeling right now?
True.
And you will definitely not feel upbeat. There is going to be nervous excitement, but
Right.
more nervous than excitement.
Correct.
I feel we need to have that conversation and first create that common ground that you're not going to be all upbeat.
Correct.
And it's fine. It's
Wow.
completely fine.
It's great advice. Yeah.
No, because the child is also learning where I have to make sure that I just show that independence, I'm ready for it. Because if
Yeah.
I am sitting and I'm crying and I'm saying I'm not prepared for this or I'm
Correct.
scared,
Correct.
I'll come across as someone who's
Yeah.
not ready. And that's why we need to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel that this ritual, like a closure ritual, is very important.
Right.
We also need to have a closure ritual where just us, like as a family, we
Right.
sit and talk. That you listen, you know what? You're not going to be okay. Oh, we are there.
Right.
And when the child knows and feels that someone has my back, I'm good.
That's a game changer.
This happens with parents also.
Right.
I do empathize with parents
Yeah.
because even parents don't show their emotional self.
Yeah.
Because think about this one parent who's crying
Right.
and they just make it about themselves that, you know, I'm just being emotional, I can't let my child go.
Correct.
So even the parent is having this false bravado.
Yeah.
I guess just opening up and sharing that, you know what, we're not going to be okay,
Right.
but we'll deal with this
Right.
together.
Right.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. So we have covered a lot of the things that we know about, but in this journey there are lots of variables that cannot be guessed, that cannot be preempted. I mean, there's one place where there is a certainty where which is not a variable is where if you use Flywire for payments, it ensures that it's a seamless, trackable, secure payment that's done. But other than this part, there are lots of variables. You know, a new country you're going to, what is happening in that country. Like I wanted to change my major from econ to creative writing at the end of my first year. And I was like, the PowerPoint presentation that I gave my parents was like, oh, I'll be a banker, then I'll make money, then I'll pay you off. So it's also, I realized that sometimes you get caught in these expectations that you make for yourself. And the idea of changing majors is not a thing in India. So people here are like, you have changed your line, you have given up on economics. No, I've just changed. So how do you fight these like expectations or these grandiose goals that you decide or you have in mind before going? How do you adjust them to reality?
I believe it begins from parents' side.
Okay. So that's not on me. Great. That's not my fault. Parents, that's your fault. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
But yes, I guess it's a lot to do with how I, as a parent, creating that safe space for my child, kids, particularly studying abroad, thinking of studying abroad. They feel that this decision is irrevocable.
Right.
Or they feel that, oh, what if I don't do what I said I'll do?
Yeah.
Then there is this lack of integrity.
Right.
And then I'm coming across as someone who did not show conviction.
Correct.
Which means I have broken my parents' trust.
Correct.
In the end, what really matters, whether I'm doing this A or B, what really matters is how successful or with how much conviction I'm doing it.
Correct.
And that's when parents play a big role.
Right.
When I spoke about the closure ritual, what exactly does that mean? I said, have that open conversation with your child by saying that, listen, any given point, at any moment, you feel that you're not able to do this, you want to rather do something else, because we do have a choice to change.
Right.
Why do we feel that I have to stick to something
Yeah.
that doesn't give me joy?
Correct.
And that's when I guess parents really need to have that conversation that, you know what, anytime you feel like you don't want to do this and that, but something else, we're open to listen to you.
Right.
Because we as humans can change.
Correct.
If, let's say, 2 years ago, you liked cappuccino and now suddenly you like black coffee, you have the right to change.
Right. I honestly think this world had the resources to devote a therapist to anyone who's applying abroad and to their family on retainer for free on the government for a few months before, because the range of emotions that they go through from the initial ambition of wanting to go out, then self-doubt, imposter syndrome, then you apply, then there's anxiety of applying, then you don't get in or you get in, extreme emotions
Yeah.
either way. Because I remember I woke up my parents at 3 a.m. I had gotten into Columbia, not expecting I would get in. I woke them up, I told them I got into Columbia, and on their face there was a weird mix of, oh my god, we are so happy for you, but also, oh no, that means it's happening.
Yeah.
You are going to go. So I think they were crying, but I think from one eye it was happy tears, from one eye it was sad tears. So that's a very complex range of emotions that are being experienced at the same time.
Yeah.
Tell me more about like what happens when parents start thinking of this, because it's going to be an empty nest.
Yeah.
There's a syndrome named after this, that they are going to have some problems. So what should a parent know, or what should a kid know that what their parents are going through?
I really loved what you brought in right now because, yes, whether parents or kids, everyone goes through cocktail of emotions. You're at one moment you're feeling that nervous excitement,
Yeah,
but another moment you have this fear of unknown.
correct,
Like you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
correct.
And from parents' perspective, there is definitely emptiness syndrome because think about your parents. The moment you were born, your life just revolved around your child as a parent.
True.
Where from mother's perspective, I'll tell you whether the tiffin is ready,
Right.
whether everyone's doing well, eating well,
Right.
fed well, they've slept well, they've been taken care, they've been nurtured well. So the whole idea of life revolves around your child.
Mm-hmm.
From your father's perspective, and nobody talks about this,
Mm-hmm.
there's no language that is used for this particular emotion that a father goes through, where the father makes sure that the child is being taken care financially.
Right.
They are living a luxurious life, or they're doing better in terms
Right.
of I can provide every possible thing that they want.
Correct. Correct.
And now, because this is happening, I don't know what to do with this new identity,
Right.
where my life used to revolve around these things
True.
or my child, and now suddenly it's going to go.
Yeah.
So I feel this anxiety and this nervousness doesn't start when you bid goodbye at the airport.
Right.
It actually starts way before. The moment you make a decision that I'm going to go study abroad,
Right.
it starts long
There,
back.
yeah.
And that's when parents start to begin these set of emotions where they're happy, but they're now starting to feel that void.
Right.
They're starting to experience this void and they don't know what to deal with this and
Correct.
what to do with this void.
Correct. Correct.
And this is what empty nest syndrome is. It's like, when you look at these birds, they're taking care of their fledglings when they're tiny.
Right.
But the moment that fledglings can now fly,
Right.
this happens with parents particularly, where they don't know what to do because now there's a new identity and they don't know how to deal with this identity.
Right.
And it's just not about the parent-child. Think about parents as a couple. Now their equation has also changed.
Really?
Where, think about it, when the child is there,
Yeah.
right? You talk about your child, there's
Right.
conversation revolving around
It's a
child a
shared
lot
project
more.
you
Shared
have,
project, right?
Yeah.
Now suddenly the child is going to go.
Right.
You realize that what do we even talk about?
Is that why my parents got a dog when I left immediately?
Yeah.
And we're happy. They were like, we are happier with the dog than you. I think that was some way of coping with this void. Sorry, continue.
No, but I get it. I think it's a great way to let that emotion of nurturing or taking care be channelized to
Right.
something else.
Right.
So emptiness syndrome revolves around what do I do with this new identity? I don't know. And
Right.
that's one thing that I truly recommend a lot of parents who, like I take therapy with, I tell them have a life of your own outside of your child.
Right.
Because while your child is there, you have to have something to do with your life as well.
Right.
You have a life outside of your child, outside of your relationship, outside of your work, something that you do to fill your cup.
Correct.
It could be anything that makes you tick. It just makes you feel happy, fulfilled. In the end, because I've seen a lot of parents going through depression and anxiety the moment they got to know that my child is going to leave, and the depression can be chronic.
Right.
And that's when you have to start focusing on your life,
Correct.
filling your own cup.
Correct.
And that you can join in communities.
Yeah.
You can join in some social group, get into some social cause,
Right.
volunteer somewhere,
Right.
meet more relatives,
Correct.
have your own time.
True.
And this is what we lack here,
Hmm.
especially as Indian parents.
Right.
They don't do this enough because my only purpose of life is taking care of my child.
That's something very interesting you said about a change in identity. Because like, I think there are lots of changes that are happening with people's self-perception
Yeah.
even in the time before they go, with the student and the parents. So what are all the changes happening in the students' minds? Because they're also recalibrating their whole life now. But it's what's happening in the mind of like some 17-year-old where they are now
I
looking
feel
at their
since you
life.
said, I want to pick that up. You said change for good or bad. I feel it's more good than bad.
Right.
Because when you're studying abroad, you're actually meeting different types of people. You're mingling with diverse people. And you learn about them. You learn different styles of working or different belief systems or
Right.
different approach to life.
Right.
A lot of things, I
Right.
feel. So it's more good than bad. It also depends on how you're looking at it. So you got to look at this from a very experimental lens.
Correct.
That, oh, you know what? It's going to be fun.
Correct.
While I'm anxious, and
Yeah.
it's okay
Yeah.
to feel that anxiety. But at the same time, if I have this conviction that, you know what? It's all about having fun because in the end, it's all play.
True.
And if you're going to look at it from this lens, it's more fun than sadness.
Right.
And otherwise, if you're going to think about, okay,
Yeah.
it's more stressful, I don't know how I'm going to deal with it,
Right.
you're going to get stuck in this emotional quagmire. And it's a rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah. See, if I'm a student listening to this, I'm with you. Yes, I'm going there to have fun. If I'm a parent listening to you, I'm thinking, I'm spending all this money for my kid to go and have fun. So how do you convince the parent that like the idea of fun is also like that is growth? That is how the kid is going to grow. How do you sell the parents on that?
I think sometimes you just don't have to sell because parents need to really understand that my style of having fun was different than my child's style of having fun.
Correct.
When I say having fun doesn't mean that you're going and partying every day.
Of course.
It's like engaging in different activities.
Yeah.
And parents need to have open enough mindset because let's say even if they've been to a country, like that particular country where your child is now going to go to study, you have looked at it from a very superficial lens.
Right.
Because you've gone for a holiday,
Correct.
let's say.
Correct.
Okay? Or you've just gone to visit this
Yeah.
place. You don't know what the deep
Yes.
culture, deep-rooted system is.
Correct.
Where you have to look at your child from a very curious lens.
Right.
That I'm excited to listen to all the stories that my child is going to bring.
Right.
How do they celebrate festivals? How do they mingle together?
Right.
How do they deal during a bad day?
Right.
Whatever
Right.
the case is. I think with parents, they need to have that curious mindset that let me see how it works.
Right.
Let me see how they operate.
Right.
Because my culture is very different than their culture. For example, if you think about the UK culture, they have a lot of drinking culture.
Correct.
Right. Which is not pretty okay with, when it
Yeah.
comes to India.
And it shouldn't be. Yeah.
And parents are not pretty okay with, oh, my child is like going out every other day. But at the same time, having the right guidance, but having an open mind is very important.
Correct.
So as a parent, you also need to have that open mindset that, oh, my child is going to sign up for different courses as well.
Right.
Or different activities as well.
Right.
And that's fine. I need to have that curious mindset.
Yeah.
So that is what I would truly advise parents to have.
Right. The thing is that it's, again, comes from a place of love, but it sometimes turns into control. This anxiety that parents have about their kids, which like almost acts like a leash, like it holds you back, So what would you tell parents who are holding the leash or students who are in the leash?
Liberation is possible only once you understand that every single thing my child is going to go through, it's a form of growth,
Right.
right? Change doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Yeah.
It means something good. That if I have trust and faith and conviction in my child, then no matter what difficulties my child goes through, my child will be able to navigate through
Right.
that.
Right.
You need to have that trust in your child,
Correct.
not the
Correct.
situation,
Correct.
the child,
Correct.
right? You as a parent, if you're constantly going to tell your child, okay, be careful, you'll fall. Be careful, you'll fall. The child
Yeah.
will not know
Yeah.
until and unless the child falls.
Correct.
And that lesson, when the child himself or herself falls,
Uh-huh.
it's a very different lesson.
Right.
You have to let your child experiment with life.
Yeah.
And that is important.
So parents need to have trust in their kids. for
It's
that.
like I need to have trust that I know that
Yeah.
my child's judgment is right.
Yeah.
So teach the right art of judgment to your child rather
Nice.
than holding on to your child with a leash.
And to people listening, it might feel like an improbable thing to happen that, oh, a parent that trusts their kids, because parents are usually suspicious. They don't trust anyone or anything except Flywire, which you can use to send payments in a secure way. But usually you see there is a general suspicion of the world. So do they also, like, have you seen in this process that after studying abroad, there's a greater trust for their kids? Like, how do these relationships change?
Yeah, it changes a lot because before moving abroad, what happens is the parent still is a passive participant in your life.
Correct.
And what happens once the child goes?
Yeah.
Like you become the earlier it's the active participation.
Yeah.
But after the child goes, it becomes passive participation.
Right.
But at the same time, when you let your child come back and tell you all the stories,
Yeah.
you listen with that excitement.
Right.
And that's when you realize, oh, my child has now become an adult.
Correct.
Is able to take care of himself or herself.
Mhm.
And I think that's when your whole equation changes.
Right.
Where now you are not constantly guiding your child, where
Right.
you're listening to your child
Right.
and their stories
Mhm.
and their experiences.
Right.
So coming back to this, it's all about how do you do that? How do you become a passive participant? Is by allowing your child to take their own decisions.
Right.
Rather than you making all the decisions. Because what happens when the child learns to make their own decisions? They're also very subtly improving their self-confidence
Right.
and pushing themselves to go out.
Correct.
And that's how they will start taking a punt on themselves.
Right.
Right? Rather
Yeah.
than I always have to rely on my parent
Right.
to make a decision,
Right.
to make the right judgment. When they grow up as an adult,
Yeah.
they don't trust their instincts.
So it extends beyond
Beyond.
college. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, wow.
So you allow your child to make decisions in life. And that's when they will become a good judge. They'll allow themselves to enter with boldness.
Right.
And that's only possible when you let them make their own decisions.
Correct.
And let them know that whatever the decision is, we are there.
Right.
So they realize that my parents act as a tailwind and not a headwind.
Oh.
That pushes me
like
towards
that.
growth
Nice.
rather than act as a hindrance
Right.
and stops me from growing.
That's interesting that you say that a parent, when a kid goes outside, has to be a passive participant. Many parents would see passive participation as almost a failure as a parent. So how do you change these expectations that a parent has of their role towards their kid?
For parents, it's their own personal narrative that they've built. Because, like I said, going back to the empty nest
Right.
syndrome, their identity was of a parent.
Correct.
And now the identity is someone that, oh, this person's my child, but they're
Right.
taking care of themselves. I'm also an individual.
Correct.
You separate your individual self
Yeah.
from the parent.
Right.
The tag that you have given yourself.
Right.
That while I'm a parent, or while I'm a mother, while I'm a husband,
Yeah.
while I'm a wife,
Yeah.
while whoever I am, I'm also an individual,
Right.
right? So it's about learning to detach yourself from that tag.
Right.
And I think that changes a lot. And I understand, especially in Indian parents, our narrative is very differently built,
Mhm.
where we feel that the life revolves around my child.
Correct.
And if I don't very actively participate, which means
Yeah.
I'm a failure, I'm a
Yeah.
failed parent.
Right.
But again, don't let I feel these are just noise.
Hmm.
So don't let the societal norms or the narrative that's been built in society
Right.
design your life.
Right. Right.
And that only happens when you rebuild your identity. Well, it's not easy.
Correct.
But as a parent, I think it just changes your whole life altogether.
Right.
Where you're like, you know what? Why? I take care of my child and
Uh-huh.
I make sure that he or she is doing fine.
Right.
And if anytime my child needs help or support, I'm there.
Right.
But at the same time, I am building my own life now.
Correct. There's an anxiety that parents also have where they think that, you know what, this is going to change everything. My relationship with my kids is over after this. Like, this is almost a rejection of the house they are in, of the country they are in, and like of the values that we hold. And now they're going somewhere far away. So this distance does stress things out for the parents. So how does one navigate this distance? How do both these parties work together in conjunction, hand in hand, while being far away, while also not imposing on each other? Like that feels like an impossible equation almost. Is it as complicated as it sounds?
Possibly a yes and no both.
Right.
It also depends on what rules you set with each other. So before leaving,
Right.
you make sure that you have a conversation
Oh.
talking about, okay, we know the time difference.
Right.
We know what are going to be the upcoming challenges, and I have to be prepared for those challenges. How do we thread the needle? How do we make sure that we find a middle ground
Right.
that works for you and for me both?
Right.
While I want to very actively participate in your life, but I know that this distance is so big that I
Yeah.
don't know how to deal with this. And this is where you create a common thread for both. Like, for
Right.
example, we know that this is our family time.
Right.
And we ensure that if, let's say, there are some unforeseeable situations took place, how do we navigate that? That's very important. Second, creating a secure base is very important. Let's say your child is studying in some other country. Having someone else you can be in touch with is very important. So as a parent,
Someone else at the university or in the city?
like university or in that city or in
Right.
that place, wherever.
Right.
Having someone as a secure base that, you know what, maybe take care. Asking your child, okay, so what can you do about this? Whatever you're going through, instead of constantly commanding why you're not going to the doctor, why you're not doing this,
Right.
why you're not doing
Right.
that. Okay, fine, whatever you're feeling, what can you do about this? I
Right.
think this changes the narrative altogether. So with Indians, what happens? Either you're aggressive or you're passive aggressive.
Correct.
Okay, that's
There's
what
no-
happens.
there's no other
There's no
way.
middle
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
But glad that parents are now learning
Right.
different techniques. But it's all about having that soft conversation, saying, okay, you're experiencing this. What can you do about this? What do you think you've done till now? And what is possible for you?
Right.
What happens is the child feels, oh, I have the autonomy here.
Right.
And everybody wants that. Everyone likes to have their autonomy. Nobody likes to have somebody else who's breathing over their shoulders. Everyone likes their autonomy. Even like a 6-year-old child wants
Of
their
course.
autonomy.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So you create that sense of, or illusion, that's what I call it, illusion of autonomy.
Right.
Oh,
I
so
like
what
that.
have you tried? And I think we all need to, whether parents or kids, I guess everyone needs to learn this art of self-work.
Correct.
That everyone needs to do that self-work. That
Right.
listen, instead
Right.
of, I know I'm a parent,
Right.
but at the same time, even I need to do some work on myself.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I am first listening to my child. Okay, what have you tried? Would you like to try this?
Right. Right.
Have you tried this?
Right.
What is possible for you? And now, let's say, for example, your child is sick. Your child can't even move a needle right now.
Right.
And you're constantly commanding your child, just go and get a medicine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Child
Yeah.
can't move. What do? That's when you create a secure base. Have
Right.
somebody who can help and someone who can't help. You ask your child what is the possible solution that they can go for.
Got it.
So the parent also feels that I'm not failing. The child is also having their say
Right.
or their autonomy
Right.
in place.
Right. Yeah. No, I think everything that we have talked about, it has made me realize that when a kid is going out with all the change, all the flux that is happening, it's not to be seen as something that one should be scared of, but it's almost an opportunity for you to redefine so many dynamics that you have with yourself and your parents for the best. So I think every problem, every anxiety that we are seeing, it can be turned on its head and it can actually help the relationship more positively on both parts.
That's why parents then suddenly start to see you as a grown-up adult. And
Right.
I have seen that shift, and that's what I would actually recommend parents to look at your child as a grown-up adult.
Right.
They become better as an individual. They
Mhm.
become better as, handling crisis.
Right.
They become better at these different situations.
Right.
Where they know if they're in some form of conundrum, they know how to deal with that.
Correct.
And
This
that
is the biggest
trust,
skill you can teach.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that trust only you as parent can build, because the first secure base for a child is the parent.
Correct.
So if you are a secure base, they're able to
Right.
grow freely.
Absolutely. As a parent, you need to be a secure base, just like Flywire is for payments, especially when it comes to payments related to educational institutions. So use Flywire to make sure your money gets where it needs to without a hassle, without any problems. So, Ekta, do you have any parting thoughts for parents who are sending their kids out right now?
Yeah. First is to create a secure base for your child. Tell your child that it's completely okay to not be okay, because every single person is going to go through anxiety and stress, because obviously you invested a lot of money
Right.
in this whole situation, in this whole new world altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this from the lens of experiment.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what? It's a different experience altogether. My child is going to experience growth,
Right.
where they'll build their new identity. So think about how they are going to rebuild themselves.
Right.
And all they require is that secure base they can fall on.
Correct.
Right? So when your child is departing, before that, have that closure ritual where you tell your child that, you know what, no matter what you're experiencing, we're always there.
Mhm.
Right? Allow them to make their own decision. That's very, very important. Where you know that in the end, they'll end up becoming or turning into a self-reliant individuals or self-reliant adults
Right.
over a period of time.
Mhm.
Because if you allow them to make their own decisions, they become better
Yeah.
in judgments.
Yeah.
And most importantly, for parents as well, if and when they feel that they're not able to cope, they can always seek help. There's nothing wrong in seeking support or assistance or counseling when they're going through something. So that's what I would really recommend
Right.
parents.
Perfect. Memorize this, use it as a mantra, drill it into your brains, and nothing will ever be a problem. Thank you so much, Ekta. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that was our episode. I wish I could say that after this, you won't worry about sending your kid away for education. But now, you're at least more prepared for what's about to come. Parents, just a few things to remember. Let your kids be, okay? Let your kids be, but also talk to them. Talk to them, make sure you are in touch, but not to such a degree that you're suffocating them, okay? And for the love of God, with all due respect, parents, when your kids are away, get a life. Find passions, find hobbies, things that you gave up as a kid because your parents were too strict. This is your time to go back to them, because that's what your kid would like as well. That was it from my end, and I'll see you in the next episode of Flywire Presents Make It Make Sense: Fees, Finances, and Foreign Lands.